research question was officially, how does using differentiation strategies in the classroom increase at-risk students' phonics assessment scores? For my literature review section, there were 3 themes. The first theme was proven positives of differentiation. One positive of using differentiation is that students get to use more creativity. And the second theme was foreseeing obstacles while using differentiation strategies. One obstacle that I found in my literature review is that teachers believe that differentiation creates more of a workload for them because they're having to plan out individualized lesson plans for each student. Theme 3, implementing differentiation strategies. Something I found in my literature review is that when implementing, you're supposed to give students more of a choice, and then they become more engaged when you differentiate, and that's why it works. The theoretical framework that I used for my research project was from Benjamin Bloom, his taxonomy. I used that in the planning process of my differentiation groups. My research design was a casual comparative mixed methods approach. I chose this approach because I was comparing 2 or more groups. I had an experimental group and I had a control group. My experimental group is the group that they were my at-risk kids that I did the differentiation strategies on, and my control group were 5 random students that I just kept track of their data to compare each of them to see if the differentiation worked. So I kind of already talked about my participants, my 5 at-risk kids and my 5 regular gen ed control group. I had 10 staff members that were chosen as a sample size to represent the full faculty when I was taking surveys about the number of differentiation trainings that they attended. All the data that I had collected is kept on a password-protected computer for confidential reasons, and all data will be deleted after the study has ended. Data collection and analysis. Before conducting my differentiation groups, I collected pre-test data from their Journeys Phonics Assessment Test, and then I implemented the differentiation group with my at-risk students, my experimental group, and then I took the averages of their pre and post-test scores, and my experimental group, which was using the differentiation strategies, showed more growth. And you can kind of see that in this table right here, experimental versus control, their average scores and growth. So the darker box is the pre-test, and these are the pre-test, post-test, and growth. The 2 different colors are the 2 different groups. The pie chart at the top, that was for the number of staff trainings on differentiation. It was shown that not a lot of teachers have been trained on how to use differentiation in the classroom, so that was an issue that I saw during the study. I'm on the results section now. The results of my study showed that the average post-test score was 80, and the average pre-test score was 48. So there was a significant difference in the results showing that differentiation does make a difference when used in a small group setting. I also collected feedback from student interviews, and behaviors and conversations were conducted in small groups, and I recorded that using observations. I used surveys, and I used quantitative and qualitative data in my study, and it showed that it does have a positive effect on student growth. This chart right here is my at-risk group only, showing their growth on the pre-test and post-test phonics assessment before and after using differentiation. For the discussion section, after completing this study over using differentiation strategies, I've come to the conclusion that more teachers need to have more professional development offered to them over this topic. We are given diverse student populations in our classrooms, but aren't fully equipped with the proper trainings to teach students with different backgrounds, cultures, and disabilities. I think administrators need to come up with a course of action to bridge the gap, and I believe that using differentiation strategies in the classroom is the answer. Some limitations that I found during my study was that I would like to next time implement differentiation for all my students, not just the ones that are at risk. I will not limit myself to only using them for the at-risk students, but challenge the higher students to have differentiated instruction as well. And lastly, 2 goals that I set for myself during the study were, the first goal was letting students have more control and choice of what they're learning about in the classroom. And when students were given that opportunity, they were more engaged than they were when I did not give them the choice. And my second goal was to get parents more involved in differentiation and hold them more accountable. My findings